It's me, Renee. I'm back. And today, as you can see, I have a tag for you. So there's this guy, I've forgotten his name, but I have him I'm gonna, as you do with tags, uh, I'm gonna link the original video. But he's actually gone just above and beyond, and he's made original tags for more or less every letter in the English alphabet. So there's like a tag for letter A, tag for letter B, etc., etc. A lot of them seem very fun. But yeah, so I decided I want to do the tag for letter N, seeing as we're in November. I'm doing non-fiction November. You could ask yourself, well, you're doing non-fiction November. Wouldn't it be more logical to do the non-fictional booktube tag that Book Olive has done? Yeah, it would. But honestly, with me and non-fiction, I like people who are talking about non-fiction, and I like the idea of non-fiction, but in reality, I don't really read that much non-fiction. So me doing a non-fiction tag would be a lot of like saying, don't know, maybe, don't know, don't know. It wouldn't really be that interesting. Really. So yeah, here we are. So yeah, I'm doing this one instead. The first prompt, N is for New York. What is the last book you read set in New York, either the state or the city? So I've been thinking about doing this tag for a while, and if I had done this a few weeks ago, I would be like, I don't know, have I read any new books this year? I have read in my life, like this year, so unsure. But today, like I kind of looked at the questions and I remembered, yes, recently I have. So last week I read One Last Stop, which takes place mostly on the subway, but it's on the subway in New York. So, yeah, this one last stop by Casey McQuinson. Next prompt, N is for 1984. Which novel is closer to our reality, in your opinion? 1984 or Brave New World? Honestly, I haven't read either of them. I know both of them are classics and famous. I know somewhat what 1984 is about. I don't know that much about Brave New World, so I'm gonna say pass here. Sorry, pass. Next prompt. N is for nightmares. Uh, has any book you read ever given you nightmares? Yes. I read a lot, so probably a lot of books has made me scared, but like scared so much that it's given me nightmares. At the top of my head, might be more, but at the top of my head, at least two books. One of them being 172 Hours on the Moon by Joanna Lovell. Came out in 2015 or something, quite a many years ago. It exists in English, but it's written by a Norwegian guy, and it's this YA book about three teens going to the moon. One from Norway, one from Japan, and one from Paris. And it's a thriller, so soon things start going wrong. And that book. So thing with that book, I bought it because for like, oh, sounds so interesting, and it was going around BookTube at the time. This was before I made BookTube, but I've been watching BookTube for a long time. So yeah, I wanted to buy it and read it. I read it. I got a nightmare, and it was just like every time after I read it, every time I would just look at the book, I got chills and like I was scared. So I had to give it away, not because I wasn't going to read again, but also because like it made me scared just watching the cover of the book. It just gave me memories, and yeah. So that book's not for wimps, really. It's not for wimps. The other one was before this, and so as with a lot of people in there who lived through, sounds a little traumatic. But yeah, so I was born in the beginning of 1990s, so I was 10, 11 in the beginning of 2000s, and at the end of the 90s, at the beginning of 2000s, you had this huge book series called Animorphs by K.A. Applegate, and it's all about these teens who they get the power to shapeshift into animals, but they got this from aliens, and they have to save Earth from aliens. but like the aliens in that world kind of go into your head and change your mind and control you and stuff. And yeah, that I read the whole series, but I was just freaking scared. Like more or less every book was just so scary, and yeah, I had nightmares for a long time during those years. I read those books, which were during my middle school years. There were probably other things that made me not give nightmares as well, but yeah, that book series didn't help. Definitely didn't help. So yeah, and then up next we have, and it's for nautical. It's for nautical and navy. What is the last seafaring book you read? I probably read a lot of them as well. But like a book set specifically just at sea. I think that's well. Actually, I have another one there. But yeah, just like a small part counts. I'm gonna count it. And okay, so for this one, I'm gonna use blah 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 blah. I'm going to use Once Upon a Crime. So this is a series of novellas, and one of the novellas is set at a cruise ship from Egypt to no, from Hong Kong to England. So it's quite a long travel, but yeah, and there's a murder on the trip. So yeah. Then up next we have, and it's NetGalley. Do you use this or similar sites where you can get free ebooks and e-arcs in the expectations that you'll review the book? No, I don't really. I do, as I said before, this is not me kind of gloating and uh, being, what's the word again? This is not me bragging, this is just the truth. But I work in a bookstore, so we get arcs from publishers, and we can also ask for arcs. So sometimes I ask, and sometimes I find interesting arcs at work. But the rule around that is not that you have to write a review. If you find like a great way to review it, cool. But it's not like you have to review it. The general idea around it is that like, okay, if you read it and you love it, you can probably sell it to customers easily because you read the book. But yeah, you don't really have to review it. So I get arcs, but not from NetGalley or any similar site. I get them directly from the publishers. So yes and no. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Blah 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 blah. And it's for nonfiction. What percentage of the books you read are nonfiction? Yeah, here we go again. Okay, so yeah, a few of the people I follow on BookTube read lots of nonfiction or more nonfiction than me. And I've been like last few years I've read slightly, slowly more and more nonfiction. But still, like there still could be like 1 or 2 months where I don't really read any nonfiction at all. So it varies really. And yeah, also like the question is what percentage? I'm bad at maths, so bad. But I'm gonna say 1 or 2%. Like there is some, but it's not that much. But then again, sometimes people say like 1%, like oh so much, which I never understand. Like 1%, how is that a lot? But yeah, so maybe I should more say like less than 1%. I don't know. It's not no books, but it's not all the books. And yep, let's just leave it at that, really. But I'm reading slightly more and more each year, and also it's not really a competition, but it's yeah, it is what it is. And it's for 19th century. What is the last book you read written in the 19th century? So I kind of checked in the 19th century. Well, we're in the 22nd century, 21st. We're either in the 21st and 22nd century now. So 1900s would be the 20th century. So that would mean in the 1800s is 19th century. I don't think I've read that many books set there really. I've read I read Oliver Twist many years ago, and that's set then. So Oliver Twist. just gonna use that one. Give me one moment. Excuse me. Blah 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 blah. N is for Northanger Abbey. Catherine Morland's reading affected how she saw the world. Has your reading affected the way you see the world? Yeah, definitely. I've been like all my life. I've been reading outside of like my experience. People talk much more about how people need to read more outside their experience and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, you do like you learn stuff from fiction. Yeah, you learn a lot from nonfiction, but fiction will help a lot as well. But also like for me, I've kind of in a way, well, it's not diverse, but I've always read outside my experience because well, not always. Well, yeah, a lot of time I've done it because I'm Norwegian. So yeah, well, when I was a kid, I read some Norwegian children's books, but also like the world is so huge, and in the grand scheme of things, Norwegian literature and Norwegian books, there are not that many of them. So like, if you think of children's classics or just books in general, the Norwegian market is just very tiny and very small. So like, if you think children's classic, you often think HP, you think Narnia, you think the worst witch in class, you think Nancy Drew, you think the Hardy Boys, the Bopsy Kids. I read Narnia when I was a kid, loved those books. I read Bopsy Kids, I read Nancy Drew, all these are not Norwegians. Uh, I think maybe one book series when I was a kid was Norwegian, but like most of the other ones were kind of weren't really written by Norwegian authors. So like kind of from get go, I've just read books from people from different countries, and by that by that simply because of that, they're kind of expanding my world and my understanding of the world. And I kind of checked out. So like last year, I checked out like how's my reading changed in the last few years. Like I've always wanted to. I was always kind of interested in like the world and reading about the world, like different places and people and stuff. But like these last few years, I've been reading more like own voices or like it's kind of supposed to, now it's kind of stigma to the word, but like people who write their own experiences. I've read more of that lately, and I kind of noticed that like I was one of those basic bees who read The Age You Give the year it came out. And I kind of checked that year I didn't read another book by an African American author. But like since then, I've been reading much more by African Americans. I've been read much more by LGBTQ plus authors, and I've been much more conscious really with my reading. And reading about people from different experiences and different societies and different places than me definitely gives me another view on the world and makes me affects me, I would say. Yes, I mean, probably the one thing that makes you learn much more is like kind of experience. Like if I meet people from different parts of the world, it's kind of much different experience than reading about, but still. And also me being not very social, I'm not gonna meet all the people in the world. So the easiest way for me really to learn about people is by reading. And also, I have met people from all sorts of part of the world really by kind of accident, well, by not my doing, because I've traveled a lot with my family. My parents had students come home sometimes from all the world, and so yeah, I would say definitely that reading definitely has changed my view of the world and affected it, I would say. N is for notes. Do you make notes when you are reading? No, I don't really. Uh, Once, I think 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I did the Gilmore Girls readathon. I kind of felt, I think it was actually one of the first readathons I did. And I ended up using post-it notes to kind of mark where was good quotes on it, put in the books that I read. But like for most part, I don't really annotate or note or use post-it notes. Nothing like that really. So no. And it's for neurodiversity. Also me. Well, I am neurodiverse. Do any of the protagonists in your reading have a different way of thinking to what might be considered normal? Well, again, well, normal is here used as like normal, and also like yeah, you should use those times, because what is normal, my dear friends? How can you say something is normal? Why can you say something is not? I mean, isn't also in one way. I think I heard someone say once upon a time that normal is, it's one way of defining it is the mathematics. So like normal, for example, normal in Norway, a lot of people have blonde hair. But like if you go to China, a lot of people don't have blonde hair. So normal changes from where you are in the world. And also like changes from like how old you are. Like if you're 50, a lot of people have lots of money saved for retirement. If you're 15, people usually don't. So normal really changes that way. But yeah, if I'm gonna just think like, I'm kind of going to define the question as like, yeah, people who think in a neurodiverse way, or people who think radically different in a way. And so answering that, I would say Harriet Manners from Geeko definitely thinks quite different. It's not put on paper, but I actually read her as quite neurodiverse. I'm thinking she might have NLD, or she might have autism, one of those, because yeah, she doesn't really understand social clues and sarcasm often. So yeah, I'm thinking she might have that, and just a simple and simply that, or for just simply haven't written it down, or maybe I don't know. But yeah, at least that's how I read her anyway. So Harriet Manners from this series. Yeah, and also also yeah. Oops. Then you also have Yuen McCall from this book, I Hope Divided. I would also say he reads as a person with autism or an LD person, because yeah, he's quite literal, and yeah, he doesn't really understand people all the time. So yeah, him in this book. Kind of feels so weird saying him when the cover has a she on it, but yeah, he's in it. Also, like not all books have covers all the characters, so it's not that weird really. But yeah, so those two, and you often think I'm going to stop. No, I'm not. I have more. I also have blah 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 blah. I had a plan. I had a plan. Yes. Of course, you can't talk about neurodiverse of people thinking differently without talking about Percy, or Percival Tunstall, from the Personal Protectorate. Well, Personal Protectorate Universe, or the Concept Protocol series. This is his book, and yeah, quite a lot of people have said to Gail that they think like they read him as autism. She has said that she didn't really think of that when she wrote it, and just for people she know that kind of are awkward. But like people being awkward and people having autism often are kind of intertwined, but that was not always. Something that's just similar but not touching. But yeah, anyway, if he has neurodiverse brain or not, he thinks quite differently. So Percy in this series, and then I feel like I had another book in mind. Give me a little no minute. Of course, you have Act Your Age, Eve Brown, which both Eve and also Jacob has autism, so thinking differently. And you know what? Uh, I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna get one more book from another room. So wait a bit. And of course, we have Prom Theory by Anne Lebar, which is at this point in time the only book offered out there. Please correct this, with any characters in it, though perfectly pronounced, but still, yeah, only book in the world, fiction book. And there's actually not that many more non-fiction, but still, with NLD, non-verbal learning disorder, which is my disorder. And yeah, though I don't recognize protagonist in this one, Iris, as completely like me, but you won't really recognize people completely as yourself in any book really, or like in any diagnosis. So yeah, like still, this book existing is awesome. So awesome. Yeah. And yeah, Iris definitely thinks different, quite different. And that I think it's sufficient answer to that question. And it's for next. What is the next book you intend to read? It says what's the next book you intend reading? Probably intend to read, just both different. Yeah, I have a few in mind. I have quite a few that I'm working on at the moment, but I have also a few in mind. I'm thinking, okay, I'll just maybe I'll go for one. Okay, I'm just gonna, as normal, I'm gonna show you one fiction and one non-fiction. So yeah, moving around. But also which fiction I want to start. I don't really know. Oh, you know what? Just wait a bit here. Yeah, I'm back. So you thought now, oh, I was gonna find one fiction, one non-fiction. No, didn't happen. That's not what happened. When you're asking me to answer a question and when you don't say pick one, I'm gonna pick all the books. So yeah. So first we have Thinking About It Only Makes It Worse by David Mitchell. Love him. Actually working on another book by him at the moment. That one's slightly a bit hit or miss, but thinking this might be more interesting. Don't know, but maybe. And then we have Ayani Ali on top by Richard Ayani. This is both a book on the movie View from the Top, but also about Ayani. It's kind of like a mix of him talking about the movie, but also him talking about his life. So, autobiography. So, yeah, two non-fiction books. And then we have A Wish After Midnight by Seta Elliott. This is a time travel book with an African American protagonist. And yeah, beautiful cover. And yeah, I wanted to read it soon. And then we have The Duke Undone by Joanna Lovell. Historical romance. Yeah, I think it's just historical romance. I don't think there's a mystery in it. I think it's just historical romance. And yeah, beautiful cover. And then another nonfiction, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker by Damon Young. Essays by African American who writes about being African American in the United States in today. And yeah, that are a few choices of what I kind of want to read next. Though, yeah, I kind of also want to finish the books I have read at the moment. So next might be like next week. But yeah, then I think that's tag more or less. Yeah, that's a tag. There was some additional prompts I didn't see before now, but yeah, that's kind of the main prompt. So yeah, and yeah, as I've done recently, really, I'm just gonna tag everyone. If you want to do a tag, that's kind of varied, and yeah, check out this tag. Kind of fun to like go through all the different N associations things, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, and yeah, bye.